Alrighty, and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're going to be going in for some best of 3 ranked, and we're going to be playing a deck that is pretty popular, but is usually only found in the best of ones. A lot of content creators that I've seen make videos on this particular deck only really even keep it into the best of ones, mostly because it can be interacted with to a certain extent, and that's going to be the black-white Pridemate deck. So I figured I'd actually try to work this into a best of 3 style for you guys, because honestly I've not really played this deck too much as far as, like, you know, testing it out, and I really wanted to just try and dip my toes into a little bit of best of 3, because it's been a while since I've done that as well. So what is the deck based around? Well, Ajani's Pridemate is the main build around, the namesake card as it were. 2 mana for a 2/2, says whenever you gain life, you put a 1/1 counter on Ajani's Pridemate. And then we've got the equivalent in Bloodthirsty Aerialist as well, but this is a 3 mana 2/3 with flying that has the same ability as well. So we're going to be building around these 2 cards, trying to gain as much life as possible in a short space of time to make these guys huge, massive. We also have Ajani's Strength of the Pride here as well, a 4 mana 5 loyalty Planeswalker. The -2 allows us to make tokens of Ajani's Pridemate, essentially, which has exactly the same thing. You want to be a little bit cautious about doing that, though, because Legion's End is quite popular in the format at the moment. This one right here. If they manage to hit your Pridemates, it will hit your tokens as well as your non-token versions. So you don't want to go all in on Ajani. You want to be quite careful with that. But yeah, that's essentially the deck. We are going to be trying to enable lots of life gain along the way. So in our 1-drop slot, to make sure that we've got Ajani's Pridemate triggering as soon as possible. We don't want this creature dying to a shock. So we've got 8 copies of our 1 mana lifelink cards. We've got a Healer's Hawk for 1 white 1/1. With flying and lifelink, and then in the black side of it we've got Vampire of the Dire Moon as well. This one has the upside of having Death Touch, so they both have evasion in their own roundabout fashion. Flying, obviously, it gets around a lot of creatures, and most people in the early game don't really want to block a Death Toucher, so we have that free attack basically to start pumping up our Pridemates and our Aerialists. We also have Impassioned Orator as well as a 2 mana 2/2 that says whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. So if we play this guy before we play a Pridemate enters effectively as a 3/3, but you'd have to dodge shocks with that trigger as well. 4 copies of Murderous Rider as our removal. Destroys a creature or planeswalker, we lose 2 life. We do have a little bit of lose life effects in the deck as well, mostly because I'm expecting that we should be on a higher life total, so we can really use that resource to our advantage. So Murderous Rider is probably one of the best removal sources in the format right now. Being able to kill pretty much anything we need it to, and as well doubles as a lifelink source similar to the Healer's Hawk and the Vampires, since we have a 2/3 lifelinker on the creature side of this adventure. We also have Oath of Kaya as another bit of removal, helps us to protect our planeswalkers as well, because if they attack our planeswalkers we gain 2 life, and our opponent takes 2 damage as well, which should trigger our Aerialists, maybe affecting their math a little bit there as well. In addition to other planeswalkers, we've got Gideon Blackblade, mostly because this one allows us to get Indestructible on our creatures, so we've got them real big but the blocks aren't really lining up. Then we can give them Indestructible to push through our opponent's blockers. We can also give Lifelink and Vigilance, which means that this big creature can attack and block as well if we do need it to defend Gideon. Eventually maybe getting a -6 to exile a non-land permanent, another removal source. Should be noted that the 0 on Ajani's Strength of the Pride is quite useful if we can get there. It is a bit of an effort to do that though, but honestly I find myself not minusing too often on Ajani and instead using the plus, or even trying to get to the 0 as well. If you have at least 15 or more life than your starting life total, so 35 life or more, then you get to exile Ajani's Strength of the Pride and each artifact and creature your opponent's control. So at the moment we've got like Dance of the Manse in the format, which is all artifact based outside of things like the Doom Foretolls and things like that, but we can get all of their eggs that way, and as well get rid of all the creatures in most other matchups as well. It's a one-sided board wipe for us. All we have to do is lose our Ajani and be in at 35. Easy, right? We've got a Revival Revenge as kind of our little cherry on top. You know, I can't really get away with building a deck without having one little meme card in there. So Revival Revenge is going to be our meme slot for the day. 2 mana on the Revival to allow us to return a creature card with converted mana cost 3 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield. So We can either return a Primate or an Aerialist, so our build-around cards basically are the targets for Revival. And Revenge is very nice as well, 6 mana to double our life total, and our opponent loses half their life rounded up as well, so there's a huge life swing there. If we are gaining life, maybe we're going to be on about 20, so this 6 mana might be gaining us 20 life, which can actually be the win, basically, for certain matchups. The mana base is pretty simple. There are a few notable cards in here, though. We've got Scoured Barrens, which is one of the few tap lands in our deck. The only reason I'm running this is actually a life gain source as well. So on turn 3, we can play this Scoured Barrens tapped after our Pridemate, something like that. It's another way to make it 3/3. We have Castle Lochthwain, again, another way to actually make use of the extra life total that we'll have here. Drawing a card and then losing life equal to the number of cards in our hand. Likelihood is we're going to be on top deck, so that's only really going to be losing us maybe 2-1 life at max, I would expect. If you've got cards in hand, unless they're like horrible lands, which surely that's probably what I'm going to have, then you're not going to be losing too much life from this one. And then we also have one copy of Castle Ardenvale. Not too much synergy with the deck on this one, but we do have the ability to make a 1/1. It's a little bit better than playing a Plains, so I'm going to try this one out. We do have a little bit of a synergy with making 1/1s, though, on our Impassioned Orator, but it's honestly just a tiny little bit of advantage. That's what I will say about these rare lands, is that they just eke out a little bit of advantage. They're not crucial to the game plan, but, you know, you might as well run one most of the time in your decks anyway, so that's something to know. And then finally we got 3 copies of Fabled Passage to thin the deck and find the basics we need. On 4 we can get the double white if we need to. There's things like that. We do have a pretty expensive greedy mana, I would say. By turn 3 we want double white and double black, so as many dual sources as possible. We've got the Godless Shrines, the Fabled Passages, and the Scoured Barrens to make that happen. So that's essentially the main deck. On to the sideboard, we got 3 copies of God's Willing, mostly because, as I mentioned, we can be interacted with to a certain extent. Heavy removal decks are going to be a problem for us, as well as like 3 fairy bouncing and resetting our tempo is heavily irritating, so we want to be playing around that a little bit. God's Willing gives protection from the colour of our choice until the end of the turn. If we've got a really big creature with the Aerialist or the Pridemate as well, we can give it protection from our opponent's colour, and then have an unblockable creature essentially, maybe swinging for lethal. So there's both offensive and defensive uses for this card here. We've got 3 copies of Duress, because I think this is going to be pretty useful at getting rid of our opponent's early removal. Also gets rid of the 3 Fairy, as I mentioned, which is a problem card for us. We want to remove that Nightmare on Earth as quickly as possible. Devout Decree is a sorcery 2 mana. Exiles a creature or planeswalker that's black or red, so things that are of note are Tybalt, who prevents life gain. Pretty much a problem for us, but you don't see it too often, so I'm not going to be running too many copies of that. I imagine we can probably just interact with our opponent enough to be able to attack our opponent's Tybalt and be just fine. Legion's End, I think at this point, speaks for itself. We want to be getting rid of creatures with converted mana cost 2 or less, so the big one is going to be Field of the Dead tokens, but also things like Hydroid Krasis is a big hit. A lot of the time when you Hydroid Krasis X a million, you're going to draw another one, so this is going to get rid of the one on board, and the one your opponent just drew into hand, so it's pretty useful for that as well. But mostly just here as a miniature board wipe in situations where it might be useful. Also kills aggro quite nicely as well, which is something we should have a pretty reasonable matchup up against, but it just shores up our matchup, makes it a lot better for us. 3 copies of Noxious Grasp. This is probably one of the better conditional removal spells for us. 2 mana for an instant, destroy a creature that is green or white, so this actually kills 3 fairy, being a white planeswalker, and we can also gain 1 life off of that, which obviously has some applications to our Pridemate and our Aerialist fashion. 2 copies of Mortify to get rid of things like Prison Realms, Cavalcades, Dance of the Manse. If it becomes relevant, we can probably mortify our opponent's Doom Foretold before it turns into our turn, things like that. If our opponent's running a lot of board wipes, then we do have 1 Commander Dreadhorde here as a alternative win con, so you know, Dance of the Manse is one of those decks which has, I think, about 5 board wipes in the main deck alone, maybe even more than that. I think it's got 4 Kai's Wraths and a Planar Cleansing, so we want to be having this card in our hands so that we can just gain too much life for our opponent to deal with. So in the late game, we pay 6 mana, we get all of our Pridemates and our Aerialists that have died, and maybe an Orator, so we get Enter the Battlefield effects there as well, and maybe even some attack triggers off of our Healer's Hawks and Vampire Diamonds. So it's going to be pretty good, I imagine, a lot of the time in those kind of matchups, but we'll have to see. So without further ado, let's get into the gameplay. I hope you enjoy this one, and I will see you all there. Alrighty then, let's get on the play, shall we? And I'm not sure if we should keep this one. I mean, we've got a soul brother, removal. No, this one's much better though. Oh boy, this one's much better. Okay, so now we've got a Johnny's Pridemate. I'm a little bit happier about this situation. I think we're going to get rid of the Orator. And yeah, just lead off with a Healer's Hawk. Say hello to our opponent on their turn. Let's wait until they don't play a mountain. Yeah, don't play a mountain. Or a Temple of... Alright, you can get a hello. A Temple of whatever usually means Golos. I don't know. I don't say hi to people piloting decks that I'm probably not going to enjoy playing against. This is just not me. Fairy Guide Mother for our opponent. 'Tis very annoying. Give it that. And so is a Giant Killer as well. That's not too bad though. Another Pridemate of sorts. Well, I'm wondering if I want to throw that under the bus. It feels awful to Murderous Rider a Guide Mother. But if I actually get myself an Aerialist also ticking, then I'm not too upset about that. I think even I might swing like this. Just to get that additional damage in. Because they have to triple block the Pridemate then. And then I get to keep an Aerialist around, so it kind of works for me. See what we can do. Never really understood this artwork. What's going on here? I never really gave it a deep look. So is he like on a beanstalk? And he's just absolutely destroyed a giant? I guess that makes perfect sense, to be honest. I don't know why I questioned any of it. Alright, so opponent with the tapping effect on their Giant Killer. Let's just go straight to combat then. Because clearly that's going to happen. Tap up to 2 target creatures. Damn. Okay. Well, do we refuel then? We probably want to refuel. It seems like going for the long game is definitely what I expect to see here. And now, unfortunately, because we don't have dual lands, we have to decide whether or not we want a Plains or a Swamp open. And the difference between those is whether or not I expect to see a Healer's Hawk or a Vampire of the Dire Moon. Now, the odds are actually in favour of a Vampire, so let's leave the Swamp open. We don't need the food token. It's just a thing. Ooh, Pridemate. Okay. Well, we might be just, like, getting this Murderous Rider out, to be honest. Not entirely sure, we'll see. But they do have a Giant Killer now. They can reprisal our Pridemate, sure. We got a spare, so we don't care. And then Giant Killer. So I believe this is actually a pretty tier-based list, if I remember correctly. I think we're just going to go with a Murderous Rider killing this Giant Killer, because we're a big body deck, you know. We don't really want our big bodies being shot out the sky by a one mana creature. That would suck. Yeah, without some life gain though, this is annoying to say the least. Could do with, I think a Gideon would be okay, giving lifelink to our creatures. Revival, Revenge would also be nice. An Orator would work as well, because we can play the Aerialist and get triple triggers on that one. Scoured Barrens. You know what? That works. So we can do Aerialist, gain life off of a land. I'll take that. Triple triggers. Good stuff. Now, there's no real point in swinging in with Ijani's Pride Mix. It just swings off with a 3-1, and we don't really want that. So let's get in for 4, or trade off with the Tactician. I'm happy with both. Okay. Yeah, some way of gaining life next turn. Another land, I guess. An Oath of Kyre, I think, is maybe the most ideal. Lucky Clover. That's probably going to tempo swing us out the game, if I had to guess. 4 1-1s. I was expecting, like, mass tap effects, but we didn't see that. So, not too bad. Alright, well. Swing, swing. Force a Tactician block. And they need to deal with our aerial threat. We'll pass the turn with his planes in hand. Let our opponent wonder what it is. And we'll see what happens here. I mean, they need some good removal. Ranger, redraw with 3 mana. They could tap us down for quite some time if they've got some more Tacticians. Good game, they say. Good game to you. Alright. Bit of a weird one. Don't know how we want to go about working on this one. But, I mean, Noxious Grasps kill green and white creatures seems relevant. Also gains life when we remove them, so it's probably just as good as an Oath of Kyre, if not better, honestly. I don't really expect this Oath of Kyre to get as much value as this Noxious Grasp does. I think I like the idea of instant speed removal that's just straight up destroy effects. Could run Legion's Ends. Not sure if we want to, though. Maybe a God's Willing. If our opponent commits to tapping us down, then we can work with that. Duress is almost entirely dead, I would imagine. Even their non-creature spells are actually creature spells, so not going to assume that's good. Maybe we do want to go with the God's Willing. We probably don't need a Revival Revenge. There doesn't seem to be too much removal over there, short of their giant killers, which we can deal with, I suppose. We should be able to make enough Pride Mates for that to not matter. And I kind of want to get some God's Willings in here, maybe 2, just to maybe get our opponent with, you know, they expect to tap things down, and then we give it protection from whatever our opponent's doing there, and then get through. And I think, yeah, we'll just thin out a Foreboding Fruit. Try like that, maybe. Yeah, I like it. I like our odds. Alright, we're in, and another flooded hand, unfortunately. Not really what I expect to see, but let's mull. Ooh, this is looking nicer. Okay, so I think maybe getting rid of the Aerialist is what I'm looking for. The double black might not come along, and if we get 1 land, then we can Foreboding Fruit and then find our lands. Probably finding more Pride Mates along the way, so I think this is kind of what I'm looking for. Could see an argument for getting rid of the Healer's Hawk, though, since we only need 1 into Pride Mate into Aerialist. Yeah, maybe that's actually what we want to do. Let's get rid of the Healer's Hawk. Let's try that. They don't seem to be removing our creatures as much as they are just tapping them down, so I feel like this Healer's Hawk's going to get some value in. We've got to be careful how we proceed with our creatures, though, because if they do go a little bit too high on the power and toughness scale, then we open up Giant Killer as an option, which no doubt they've still got in their deck. So, you know, the moment we gain more life with this Pride Mate, we are actually going to be in a little bit of a danger zone. Alright, Beanstalk Giant with the Fertile Footsteps gets 2 lands. Pretty good tempo on the Lucky Clover. Don't really have answers to artifacts, unfortunately, but I didn't even consider this deck, honestly, when I was thinking about things to tech against. Okay, so it looks like we're just going to be spending the turn going with a Foreboding Fruit, because no doubt that is a tap effect. Another Tactician, perhaps. Something like that. Yeah, let's just get in and then fill our hand up, I guess. Oh, wow. Actually getting damage in? Was not expecting that. Yeah, I think I want to go with the Foreboding Fruit, because I want to make sure that this aerialist is actually ready to go next turn. Never mind. All the double black cards. None of the double black mana. Yeah, is the Giant Killer's Reprisal? I think it's called Reprisal. The card is based off this chop down. It's actually instant speed. I was wondering why my opponent didn't do it on their turn. But it's actually 3 mana. I thought it was 2 mana. You learn a lot about a card. Alright. Making some knights. You got it, brother. You got it. Alright, well, let's just let's get the Orator down. Get a Vampire down. Gain some life. Buys us lots of time, and then swing over for one. Not amazing. Really would love to get double black so I can play Magic the Gathering, but for now this seems to be working out just fine. Might even trade off a 2-2, honestly, with my Orator. But the power of having a big body is pretty important to me all the same. I mean, we've got Vampire of the Diamond for this Beanstalk Giant, so we're really not afraid of that. And this is just a 3-3 for 5 with Vigilance, so again, not too afraid of that at all. I suppose I could afford to take 4 here. The only reason to keep my life total real high is actually... Ooh, I could actually even just Noxious Grass for the Beanstalk Giant. The only reason to keep my life total real high is actually Ajani's Ultimate, which is a long way away. I'm not going to expect that to be the thing that wins us this game. So, yeah, let's just get in with a Healer's Hawk. Pass the turn. Leave Noxious Grasp and God's Willing open. Maybe we can get protection. Questing Beast. Alright, well, let's see what they do here. Do we get an all attack from them? All attack from our opponent, thinking that they're going to get some good value here. We're going to show them how good value goes. Let's give this protection from green, so it has Death Touch and lives long enough. That is actually the land we need. I'm going to take that. So yeah, protection from green on the Beanstalk Giant. Yeah, I'm just going to make a big aerialist with my Orator. So that works for me. Alright, shock ourselves. So we can play an aerialist, get our Pridemate style going. And yeah, get swinging. Could swing in with a Vampire of the Diamond as well, but I kind of like it back as a blocker. Having it around just means Beanstalk Giants just aren't good. So yeah, our opponent can get all those basics out of their deck, which is good thinning, of course, but the actual big body's not going to do too much good. 10-10. Means nothing to me unless they can give that good old protection. Well, not sure I understand that attack. Gonna put that out there. Let's go with another aerialist, I guess. So we can get some extra triggers. Up to 5 on our Bloodthirsty aerialist. And we're going to swing and swing for 6. And that's going to pump up our Bloodthirsty aerialist into lethal range, which is a really good place to be. If we block with the Vampire of the Daimoon on the Beanstalk Giant, then we're going to get some extra pumps out of our opponent. And yeah, we're just going to be in a really good spot here. Is it possible for us to actually gain lethal next turn? I reckon it probably is. Not on hand alone, because we need this aerialist to get up to 6 points. But if we draw anything that gives us life gain off the top, then we can do Murderous Rider, enters the battlefield, triggers Eraser up to 5. Ooh, very nice. Good job I got that flyer. So, yeah, our opponent's only got creatures. We know about them, so this is futile. We're just going to block anyway, out of respect for what our opponent is doing. We respect our opponents here. And yeah, we just go kill your flyer, swing for 6, and, well, swing for 7, and that's going to be the game. Alright, pretty good. That's Green-White Adventures. I believe, was that a Reduke deck? I'm not sure. Maybe it wasn't. But, yeah, taking it down. Pretty good showing so far, and yeah, let's go for another game. Alright. play first. Let's see what we got. Turn 2, Orator into turn 3, Aerialist. We don't have the double white for Gideon Blackblade, but we do have an active Oath of Kaya ready to go. So I think I'm going to take this hand. I'm not blown away by it. I'd rather not use the Scoured Barons on turn 1, but here we are. So, gain a little bit of life. And see what we're up against. Something fun, please. Ooh, Johnny, hello. Alright, well, we're going to go with the Orator. Gives us 1 life whenever creatures enter the battlefield, so we're going to be able to make a 3/4 for 3 with flying, which is pretty good. Tokens for our opponent. Crazy. Alright. Well, I think... it's a tough call, honestly, because I really do kind of want to kill Amara. She's going to get some big stuff going. If they have, like, Conclave Tribunal, then there's no way for us to really get that back without getting Gideon up to, like, 7 loyalty, which is a long way away. And Ajani doesn't get rid of enchantments, he only gets rid of artifacts and creatures, so... yeah, Conclave Tribunal is kind of an annoyance. So maybe I actually want to just Oath of Kaya that right now. But it is kind of one of those situations where it's like they have it now, otherwise it's not that good. So maybe I just go with an Aerialist, try and push a little bit of an advantage. We'll find out, you know? This is going to be one of those situations where definitely... I'm going to swing in. Definitely, if our opponent has the Tribunal, then we get punished pretty severely for it. But maybe Strength of the Pride on the Ajani here is actually not going to be too bad. Opponent swings in. Well, I'm going to let that happen. No doubt they've got some pump. We're just going to let them do it. Divine Arrow. Alright, our opponent's on the Hyperjank. Gotcha. Right, so, on that note, I guess we're going to go with Ajani's Pride Mate and minus. And then make it 3/3, essentially. I'm happy with that. So, minus Ajani. Make a 3/3. And... yeah, I think we pass here. We don't really want our opponent dealing any damage to Ajani if we can help it. Prism Realm, sure. Definitely going to bring in those Mortifies from the sideboard. But we got a Pride Made out of it, and our board looks better than theirs, so not too bad. If they want a token, they're going to have to lose their Amara. Let's see. Well, do we just want to make another Pride Mate? Or do we want to get rid of Amara? I think we probably want to start getting rid of Amara, because if they've got Venerated Loxodon, then we're in a bit of a troubled situation. So, yeah, let's just Oath of Kaya the Amara. Gain a bit of life, pumps up our dude as well. It isn't too bad. The greed play is to wait and play one of these two before we Oath of Kaya, but I reckon that they're just going to be able to make something awful, like a Tristani, which we couldn't really stop, honestly, but, you know, Tristani's pretty grim all the same. Alright, well, I really wish that was a land, because then we could do Aerialist Pride Mate, but I guess we're just going to take the Aerialist route. Gain some life. Pump the team, and see where we go from there. I don't know if we want to attack right now, because we only get rid of 2 tokens, which is not worthwhile in my books. I think what we want to do is just have, like, Gideon Blackblade ticking, doing something interesting. Gives vigilance to a creature, that's an option for us. Amara, probably Venerated Loxodon to follow up. No? Okay. Yeah, well, I guess we just... get Gideon Blackblade going. So, enters as a creature, which triggers all of our dudes. It's pretty good. And then the question becomes, what do we want to do here? Maybe a Vigilance on the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. I want to be able to protect my Gideon long enough to maybe minus him to kill Tristani. We only need to get him to 6 since we have the backup Gideon anyway. So, yeah, let's give, like, Vigilance to the Aerialist. Could give Lifelink and Pump our other Pride Mate, but then we've only got 2 creatures back, so I don't think it works out for us. Got to play around that Divine Arrow as well, so... swinging in with the 5 power creature. 5 toughness creature, sorry. See where we go from there. Opponent's got something to play here. There's no flash creatures in white. The only green one is a little wolf thingy. We're going to do March of the Multitudes? Okay. Sure. That's a lot of power on board, not gonna lie. And a Knight of Autumn to kill our Oath of Kaya, maybe? Yeah. So we don't gain a little bit of life from them attacking our Gideon. And honestly, that's a lot of damage. I do want to keep my rate around, I think. If I get a land, then I've got like double triggers from that. So I think I'm just going to block and block with our big guys, and then just lose Gideon. Just taking the chance to get rid of some tokens while we're at it.
I surrender.
And what do we get? Fabled Passage. Alright, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. Alright, so definitely Gideon's not where we want to be. So, let's just... let's get this Fabled Passage cracked now, might as well. Go white on the plains, and then get the aerialist out. Pump our team. And then the Pride Made out do the same. I don't really worry about board wipes against our opponent here. They're not really the board wipe type. So let's get in for 6. We've got good blockers all across the board. We're at 30, so... Our opponent needs to attack to gain life, and we have good blocks, so... Tol Samir gets to fight the Passion Orator, I guess? Alright. I'm not sure if I would have gone for the Orator. I might have gone for the 3-3 Pride Mate. Because if I find any way to gain life, like this Black Blade, then they're in an odd situation. But yeah, they want to just push their advantage while they have it. But they might not have it for very long. We're going to take 8 here. And kill 3 creatures. Got Foreboding Fruit. That's not going to do us too much good, unfortunately. I think the only good draw for us is maybe a Revival on the Orator, but that's just not going to actually do anything. So I think we're just going to go with the Gideon here and give lifelink to my 6-7 here.
Prepare for battle.
Allows me to gain a little bit of life, and also pumps the rest of the squad. So I'm pretty happy with that. Again, our opponent's now in a situation where they're still swinging in with creatures that are just going to die. But they're all for it. They are all for it. So let's make sure that this Tristani dies. This looks kind of like a pump spell to me, so maybe we're dead. I'm not so sure what they could have. Let's just assume it's a +2/+2. So can I swing here? And they've had enough. Okay. Yeah, I think they realise that the more that they attack here, the worse it's just going to get for them. Okay, so Legion's End looks pretty good. They're going to be making lots of soldier tokens, so we can get rid of all of those in one go. Mortifies against Prism Realms is also an option. It's removal for Tristani as well as removal for their removal, which is obviously very good. And green and white Noxious Grasp, more removal, more life gain, seems good. I think I'll put in the Legion's End. We don't need the Commander Dread Horde because it's not a board wipe deck. Duress is only going to get Prism Realm, and that's basically about it. Maybe some pump spells here and there. Obviously, Devout Decree is not going to do anything, and without being targeted from removal and things like that, God's Willing's not too bad. This is here for basically the heavy removal interaction kind of deck, so our opponent's not one of those. They're kind of a build up a board and smoke kind of deal. Oath of Kaya, that's a tough one. I'm not sure if we want that or not. I definitely don't think I want Revival Revenge here. Honestly, this is a flex slot, and you can probably do just fine without it. I need to work pretty quickly, though. What am I going to pull out of the deck? Gideon seems hard to defend, so we're going to get Gideon out of here. Maybe a Murderous Rider or 2, since we've got the Mortifies in, and 1 Foreboding Fruit. We can probably beat our opponent with a good opening hand, I reckon. So, yeah, let's try it like that. Okay, we've got a 0 lander, so we can consider this one as far as it takes me to click on that mulligan button. And lots of removal. Okay. I'm happy with this hand, actually. Just remove all their creatures, kill their Amara's pretty early on. Yeah, let's just get the Oath of Kyre out of here, I reckon. And we'll just go Castle Ardenvale, Swamp, Lochthwain, and then we've got turn 3 Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Use the Noxious Grasps then to gain life and kill our opponent's creatures. Hopefully tempo swing our opponent that way. And Ajani's Pridemate. Okay, so we can actually do this a little bit earlier then. We can do turn 2 Pridemate into Noxious Grasps to kill their things. Which is much better for us, because obviously Amara gets the job done pretty quickly, so... Let's go Ajani's Pridemate and pass the turn. Maybe we can get away with a Bloodthirsty Aerialist before our opponent does anything. And yeah, this looks like a perfectly fine Aerialist turn for me. So yeah, let's just get our second Pridemate out. And we'll wait until next turn to go maybe Vampire, Noxious Grasp their blocker and get through. Yep, we're fine with that. Take 4. We're obviously going to be swinging back for 6, so... Not too bad. Alright, well, trading off. Sure. Interesting. So, yeah, let's just go with a Vampire of the Dire Moon. I don't even know if we want to go with a Noxious Grasp on this Knight of Autumn just yet. Divine Arrow. You got me. You certainly got me. One of the only people I've ever seen run that card outside of Limited, so... Cool. Alright, well, a Death Toucher against their 4-3 is certainly enough for me. Absolutely happy to do that. Bring it on. Our removal basically gains his life, so I'm happy with this. Gonna need some good top decks, though. When it dies, do a thing. Okay. An Orator. Sure. Shamefully, none of this is exile-based, so they do get 2 2/2s off of this death trigger. But I'll take the 4 for now, I reckon, because I could probably get something much more powerful than that on my side of the board, and also kill something much more powerful than that. Well, now they just opened up the opportunity to kill it. Not great. If we'd have known that they were going to go for a Rabid Bite, then obviously it would have been nice to divert that into just killing it to not lose 4 life, but I was playing around their follow-up card more than anything, and they didn't bother doing that, which was definitely the correct play for them. Rabid Bite's an interesting card for a deck that's got lots of 1/1s and 1/4s and things like that. I'm not sure I see it getting that much use. Protection from blue. Well, I think we're going to go with a Noxious Grasp here. I'm going to use Mortify as more of a protection against Prism Realm. And we draw more crap. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get a Pridemate, maybe. Legion's End. Okay. Well, I do have to shock myself for that, which isn't great. So I think what I'm just going to do is going to go tap land and then maybe trade off this Orator. Tristani, very bad. Well, blocking. Yeah, not in a good spot now. So we've got the Legion's End, which can only take care of 1 of 2 of these, which is obviously going to be the 3/3s here. And then we can Murderous Rider, kill Tristani if we want. We've got Prism Realm and Divine Arrow. Okay, so we're going to be taking 2 here and then killing Tristani. Might as well do it now, just in case they draw March of the Multitudes. We don't really want the extra Convoke there. So let's get rid of that now. And I guess we're just going to be playing Murderous Rider as a 2/3 lifelinker. Since we're doing nothing but drawing lands. Love Magic the Gathering sometimes. And it loves me, chat. It loves me. Can't you tell? Alright, so we're probably going to 2. They might be pushing the Prism Realm plan here. Certainly see that being the case. Not sure. Oh, they want to Divine Arrow me? I mean, sure. Might as well, right? Makes no difference to me. I'm still gonna stop 1 point of damage there. Hey, that's a good one. Okay. So what we can do here is we can make a Pride Mate, and that means that the Prism Realm can only get rid of one thing, which is not going to be too bad for us, honestly. So let's get Pride Mate down.
I am a Johnny Goldmate.
Make an Ajani's Pride Mate. And get a Vampire of the Diamond down as well. So, yeah, they can basically try to attack in an Ajani, which is not going to work very well. We got a good blocker now.
We meet again soon.
And hopefully we get something good off the top, because we're not in a very good position right now. I do need to be gaining a lot of life, which this deck is obviously supposed to be doing. Flower for a Plains or a Forest. Gets a Forest, okay. And Prism Realm for our token, alright. Well, we've got one more Lochthwain activation before all hell breaks loose. Yeah, sure. I'll block. Getting a Johnny's Pride Mate. Okay. So, play Pride Mate. Pass the turn. See what our opponent draws. It's going to be a Tristani. Which allows them to trade off with my Pride Mate unless I make a 1-1 here, which I might do. Yeah. Let's make a 1-1. And block. I don't know what we can come back from with this, though. It's honestly, yeah. Honestly, it's not good enough, so let's just kill ourselves, see what we're going to draw. More lands. Okay. Some rough draws on that one, but I think the composition of our deck was certainly not bad. We just didn't draw good cards. So we need to go and practice doing that. Yeah, that's about it. Commander Dreadnought definitely looks terrible the more than I think about it, because Tristani is a thing. I don't really want them doing that. But yeah, most of all, it's just try to have more things than they do have removal, and we should be good. Like, I would have loved to see more removal, I guess. An early start on maybe our Healer Hawks and Vampires would have allowed us to get a little bit further on. Maybe have found a little bit more life total along the way. Not sure, but yeah. I could see maybe going down a Foreboding Fruit for a Murderous Rider just to improve the quality of our draws, but then again, this is like a refuel, which I'm all for. So I think I'm just going to run it back, see how we do. Definitely being on the play is going to help here. Okay. So no turn 1 play of any kind and no turn 2 play of any kind, so that's going to be a mulligan. And, well, this has got Bloodthirsty Aerialists up the wazoo, a bit of thinning, and an Oath of Kyra's removal. I'm not blown away by it, but I think I'll keep it. Let's go down a swamp, and then we'll just crack the Fabled Passage for one instead, and see how far our opponent mulls. With this hand, we probably want them to mull a little bit deeper than they normally would. That would be ideal, but not too low as to not enjoy playing Magic the Gathering, because then there's just... If our opponent mulls to 1, what's the point? None of us are having fun at that point, are we? So, tap land, say go. Love something exactly like that, actually. Thank you, Magic the Gathering. How considerate. Alright, let's see if we can dodge the 2/2s. Alright, well, we do have Death Touch, so at the end of the day, it's not too bad. I mean, I think if I was to lose one of these, I would rather lose the Pride Mate, since it has no evasion, so let's get in for one. It's got Death Touch, so they're not really incentivized to block, and also it makes us have a good blocker as well. It's another Divine Arrow. Okay, well, if they have the Divine Arrow, then they have the Divine Arrow. There's literally no way we can play around it, I don't think. Yeah, let's just get it done. We'd have to wait like 2 turns, I think, realistically, to get around that. That's been surprisingly effective against that deck, and I never thought I'd say that. But it has. It certainly has. Well, let's do exactly the same thing, shall we? Let's get a Pride Mate down. I think this time around, though, we're going to wait so we can stop them from attacking with the Mara. They have Prism Realm, sure. The hits just keep on coming. But I like having these 2/3s. They are pretty good. Let's get rid of Amara, stop those tokens from coming along. Legion's End is an absolute god tier draw. Let's go with the Bloodthirsty Aerialist for now, though. Get a 2-3 for their 1/1s. And more Prison Realms. Okay. Sure. We play a threat, they answer it. We play a threat, they answer it. Only benefits the person who's currently in the driver's seat, which unfortunately for us is our opponent right now with their 2/2s, but it's not that big driver's seat threat, you know, so until we see something awful like Shifting Ceratops, we're not in too much trouble. Mortify. Okay. Well, I think we just have to kill the Shifting Ceratops. As much as I want to kill one of these Prism Realms and get my tokens, my creatures back, I don't know if that's really going to benefit me too much. I mean, I could take a little bit of damage off the Shifting Ceratops in order to facilitate a better board state in the long term, since we're 2 of 4 Prism Realms down at the moment. And then I can do like Oath of Kyra as my life gain source. So maybe I could do a gotcha kind of situation by mortifying a Prism Realm. At the end of the day, I probably want to be doing this at the last possible moment anyway, if I choose to do it on a Shifting Ceratops, which I don't really need to do right now. So, we'll see. What have you got? You giving yourself trample before you've even attacked? I wasn't going to block, so that's 1 green mana wasted. Rule of thumb, don't give your creature evasion unless it needs evasion, which it doesn't need evasion. So, yeah. There's a missed opportunity for me to block there and punt my way out of some extra points. So let's get rid of this Prism Realm here, see what happens. Veil of Summer. Okay. Protection from black is annoying. We get a Healer's Hawk, though, which isn't too bad. So we can do Healer's Hawk. And I still don't think we Legion's End. I don't think we need to, honestly. Let's just swing in for 2. Get Divine Arrowed, no doubt. Wow, we didn't. Alright. It's a Christmas miracle. Yeah, I'm waiting until they maybe March the Multitudes or Tristani, so we can get some extra soldier value out. They do have Trample with the Shifting Ceratops. They're getting ready to use it already. I'm surprised they haven't used it pre-combat like last time, but here we are. So take 10. They're left with a 6/5. I don't like that idea. I think I'm just going to chump here and then gain a little bit of life. We are going to Legion's End the tokens, though, no doubt. Bit mana screwed, though, so we don't really have the option to play more than 1 card every turn, which is really annoying. And Castle Lochthwain, alright, changes that a little bit. So, let's get rid of soldiers. But, yeah, we're a removal source away from death. We can't really attack. And we're almost forced into blocking. In fact, they've got the Rabid Bite there, so we're already dead, yeah. Alright. I think that might have been a classic case of our opponent doing really well to draw their perfect answers. That Veil of Summer was a big deal for certain. Shifting Ceratops, wish I could have answered that, but we didn't draw enough removal. All of our removal ended up being for the stuff that they didn't have, which is typical, but, you know, it is what it is. We move on, we enjoy the good times, and don't linger on the bad times. Let's go for another game. Okay, let's be on the play, shall we? We have a reasonable hand, actually. We need to fire this off on turn 2 so we can get the Aerialist down. So unfortunately, we're not going to gain the life off of that. But double Vampire of the Diamond, a bit of refuel. Never a bad thing, really. Let's take this hand. See where we go from here. Maybe our opponent is playing Magic today. Yep, looks like it. Alright, so Vampire of the Diamond. This is how misclicks happen, Magic. That's how misclicks happen. We skip a frame and then all of a sudden your mouse is at the wrong part of the screen. Tut tut. Alright, maybe our opponent isn't playing Magic. I'm not sure. Hopefully they are. I like playing Magic from time to time. Alright, they're here. What are we playing? Self-mill. We're playing maybe a dredge deck with Phoenix. Sure. This is going to be interesting. That Fabled Passage actually does mean that we can get the Bloodthirsty Aerialist down on time without having to crack our Scour Barons, which is pretty sweet. So, I'm just going to go crack this, get a Plains. So we've got that white source. And yeah, let's get another Vampire down, see what we can do there. And it looks like we might be able to get our Bloodthirsty Aerialist out of most burn ranges. There's not too much our opponent can play to remove this, short of bouncing it, but we can easily enough get our stuff going. If they've got Brazen Borrower, for example, it can't actually block things without flying, so these two can get back in after we replay the Aerialist just fine. Alright, they got a Secret Keeper, we have Death Touch, so we're not that fussed. Alright, Aerialist, swing for 2. And let's have a look at our opponent's graveyard. It's not really filled up that much at all. Opponent not blocking with the Secret Keeper, despite having no other good blocks. I guess they're maybe waiting until other Pridemate comes down, which is fair, I suppose. Alright, Discovery and tap land. So I think we just go for... We could go for Foreboding Fruit and see what we draw. Might want to keep the Scoured Barons around. Might want to get maybe a Plains or a Swamp, depending on the result. So, yeah, let's have a look. Another Bloodthirsty Aerialist, which means that I want to keep the Scoured Barons around. We got our Plains as well, so... I think we'll keep going with Swamps for the Fabled Passage. Swamps are scarier than Plains. 'Tis true. And yeah, getting in for 6. Now they're starting to block. Now they realise that this isn't going to change. Alright, so we're swinging for 8. We've got another Aerialist coming down, ready to start growing. Even got a Revival, which we can use to pull back anything, even double our life total, which is probably going to be exactly what we need to finish this game off, honestly. Mission Briefing, can get an Opt, and that's going to be Phoenix coming out of the yard. I think they've only found one Phoenix so far. Let's just double check. Yeah, it's only one Phoenix. So, they get a 3-2. This is the most disappointing dredge outcome I think I've ever seen. But, I mean, this deck is... It's not a particularly good deck to begin with, in all honesty. So, you know, no surprises there. Let's go with Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Scoured Barons, gain some life. Pump the squad. And let's get in. We don't need these vampires anymore, so if they really want to, they can block a vampire and stop us gaining extra life. But next turn, we just revenge, gain double the life, and be up to a pretty ridiculous life total. So yeah, it's just a matter of them now figuring out how to get out of this situation. I personally don't think they've got a situation they can do here. Because I think being on like 40 plus life is going to be enough. Narcomoeba is a blocker. Okay. Still going to take a lot of damage though. Creeping Chill, there we go. They want to see more of them. Yeah, between the Narcomoebas blocking damage, the Arclight Phoenix is getting attacks in, and then milling over Creeping Chills. That's kind of like how they make their damage up. So, being able to gain as much life as we are is definitely a problem for our opponent. We need to be on 15 more life than our starting life total to use the 0 there. Which means we need to be on 35. Which, short of this revenge, is not going to happen, so let's revenge, shall we? Double our life total. Halve our opponents. So they're down to 6. They need to block both Aerialists singularly, so the Vampire of the Dire Moons are going to be able to get in unblocked. And our opponent's chomping on both accounts here. We're at 48, so literally anything they play, as long as it is not an enchantment, is actually just going to get rid of with the Ajani Strength of the Pride, which is very good for us. So They can play as many blockers as they want. It's just not going to help here. And they're going to die to our flying monsters. They're just way too big. Single removal. They're going to need bounce and removal since they've only got one black source. They got two Phoenixes now. Which they might think is going to be enough, but we know it isn't. So we'll see them tap out here with something like a Radical Idea. Maximize altitude, okay. And a Secret Keeper to block the Vampire of the Diamond. Did they not do 3? I thought they did 3. Well, guess they're dead. Unless they're doing stacks. I was going to say, it was very weird that I was waiting on that. Alright, so we just play a Johnny. We get to use his ult. First time using his ult. This is going to be pretty great.
Those who cannot protect themselves.
So, one-sided board wipe, please.
I hope we meet again soon.
And this looks like an amazing matchup for us, honestly. There we go. Minus 18, down to a measly 50 for our life total. Alright, so we're up against a graveyard-based deck, which unfortunately for us is not something that we really have some tech against. What we do have, though, is Devout Decree, which allows us to exile Arclight Phoenix. It is what it is. I think that's maybe the only thing we've got against this matchup. Legion's End's not looking too great. Duresses, yeah, they're not really going to do anything. So, yeah, I think we just want to run it back as it was. I think it's a good matchup overall. Just kill their creatures, gain loads of life. That should be all we need to do. Gonna keep that revival or revenge because it did a lot there. Definitely did a lot there. Alrighty then, we're in, and we got double Pride Mate, but no life gain. We are on the draw though, so I think I'm going to take this hand because it's got decent mana, decent removal. This is a life gain source at the end of the day as well as being a removal source, so... Ooh, got a Vampire of the Diamond to lead off with, so that's very good for us. So there's our Vampire. They're going to need a shock so that we don't get too big of a creature board state, but it's just going to be Drowned Secrets for our opponent, and that's going to be real bad for them. Because honestly, I think Shock might be one of the only removal sources that they run in that deck. And now we're basically out of Shock range. And we're going to be on another Pride Mate as well. Alright, so Drowned Secrets. See if they get any Creeping Chills rolled over. None so far. Got a Surveil 2 though. So they want to roll over Arclight Phoenixes, Narcomoebas, and things like that. It looks like they didn't find any of those things, so really bad start for our opponent. We're going to get a Pride Mate down and then Scour Barons, gaining the life and pumping our Pride Mates. Then we get to attack in for 5 here, again pumping the Pride Mates. Turn after that, we've got ourselves Fabled Passage, which is now an untapped land. And we could probably play a Ajani Strength of the Pride and maybe take up to gain some more life. Swing out for lethal pretty soon would be a pretty good idea. We do have to worry about Legion's End, I suppose, from our opponent. So the minus on Ajani is not really something I have in mind, since it makes tokens that are exactly the same name as our non-token brothers here. They do have unsummons, okay, so they can reset the board easily enough, I suppose. But we can reset it right back. Alright, so milling over all of their interaction, getting a Narcomoeba. Not too happy with seeing the Narcomoeba there, since our life gain source is pretty reliant on that. They did get a Creeping Chill though, so a nice drain for 3 for them. And keeping on going. Another Creeping Chill. As long as we can survive the Creeping Chills, and then survive like the first wave of Arclight Phoenixes, we should be in a good spot. That's not too bad. Another Healer's Hawk. Does mean that we have another source of life gain, consistent life gain past the Narcomoeba, so we can play the Bloodthirsty Aerialist here. So it gets a trigger off the Vampire of the Diamond. and then swing on through. So, yeah, they want to get rid of our life gain source, which is futile, to say the least. 3 triggers, puts Aerialist into a position where it blocks Arclight Phoenix really well. And we're going to go get a Plains so that we can play the Healer's Hawk. Absolute nightmare for our opponent, this matchup. No doubt in my mind. They've milled over their unsummons, which they probably really wanted to see, honestly. It's very bad runnings for our opponent, for sure. Mission briefing. Okay. So, double drown secrets triggers. There goes more unsummons, but they do get their hands on an Archamoeba. And another one, actually. So, some extra blocks. It's getting to the point now, though, where we can actually do some decent damage to them, even through losing our Healer's Hawks. Might be to the point where they start having to not have the ability to jump our Healer's Hawks, and instead go for our Pride Mate blocks. There's Arclight Phoenix. And another one. Alright, it's pretty good. And I have lost count on how much they've played this turn. I think this is probably enough, right? There's all 4 unsummons gone. And yeah, we got 3 Arclight Phoenixes. Very good for our opponent, for sure. Taking 9. I think we might as well, mostly because if I attack him with the Healer's Hawk, they're just going to block with Archamoeba anyway, so this actually prevents the most amount of damage for us. But ideally, I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe I did want to... Ooh, Gideon Blackblade. That's a good one. Gives lifelink to one of my Ajani's Pride Mates, which they can't really block very well. Gains 7. That might be an idea, for sure. They're on double chump, though, so they get to keep an Archamoeba and 3 Arclight Phoenixes. So that's 10 points of damage. Could be dead to a shock. We haven't seen any, though, have we? It's just been like blue-black, but with Arclight Phoenixes, which you don't really plan on hard casting all that much. I think maybe just for the safety of those around us, we need to probably give this lifelink. We didn't really care about them losing their Arclight Phoenixes anyway, just as long as they weren't blocking with them. It's kind of the idea. So let's get 2 chumps out of our opponent and gain 7. Ooh, they want to keep the Archamoebas around. Okay. So, pump the Pride Mates. We've also put 5 points on board as well, which is effectively gaining 5 points of life for us. Not sure I would really be doing too much more than with what our opponent's doing here. I guess maybe to roll over the Creeping Chills. That's what they want to do. Then they can close out the damage, perhaps. That was something I didn't actually consider when I was making my plays, but actually the play I chose ended up working the best if you did keep Creeping Chills in mind, because obviously we don't want to go to 1 and then have them roll over a Creeping Chill, because then we're dead. So, you know. We're going to take 11 here and go to 4, which means 2 Creeping Chills worth of damage, which is not going to happen. There's only 1 left in the deck. And yeah, it seems like they're strictly blue-black here, so I shouldn't really expect any burn from our opponent. But definitely some lifelink along the way. Should be expected. So discarded an Archamoeba from hand, so that's not going to come into play. It's only when it actually gets revealed off the top of the deck into the graveyard that they return. Yeah, I feel like if I was my opponent, I might be thinking about leaving the Arclight Phoenixes back. But this is a fairly fragile combo from our opponent. So they might not really have the capability to do blocking. You know, they might be all about goldfishing us here, so maximizing damage is maybe what they're thinking about doing here. Certainly what they're considering at this point in time. They've got maximized altitude to give an extra point to one of their creatures. Oh, they got the other Arclight Phoenix. Okay. And that's going to come back now. Is that enough? That's probably enough, right? Yeah, it's exactly enough. Oh, that's a tilt. Okay, so that's a tilt. But there's nothing we could really do about that one. It's the opponents did what they did, and we tried to interact with them the best we could. I guess maybe I don't know, holding back our creatures to get a extra bloodthirsty aerialist point or something like that might have helped, but yeah, we certainly don't want to be interacting with the Arclight Phoenixes. I think we just want to try and attack through them, which is definitely what we had in mind. I'm just going to roll it all back, because honestly, I don't think that there's anything wrong with our deck. I think our opponents they managed to get their stuff done. Prove me wrong as well. I thought they were wasting their time with a lot of their shuffling, but they knew what they were looking for. The extra Arclight Phoenix, the other Creeping Chill, things like that. Okay. No black mana. Turn 2 Pridemate. Not a big fan of this hand, honestly. If we don't draw a swamp, we lose. So I'm just going to mull. And yeah, this one's... It's a hand, alright. We get rid of one of the spare Ajanis. We don't really need an extra one. And we just go with a Healer's Hawk on turn 1 and start trying to gain as much life as possible. One Devout Decree to get rid of an Arclight Phoenix. Definitely would have liked to see that in the previous game. That's probably going to be the only thing that we do to interact with our opponent, honestly. So, let's get rid of an Ajani and lead off with a Healer's Hawk. So, if we find a 2-drop, it's going to have to be something like an Ajani's Pridemate that's going to make me not want to just play this tapped, so... Didn't find that. We got a 3rd land, which means Foreboding Fruit next turn, I suppose, at the worst case scenario. So, opponent with the Discovery. What do you discover, opponent? Your win con? Have you found it? They found it. Alright. So that's one Arclight Phoenix in the bin. We've got an answer to one of them, so that's pretty good. Yeah, I think we just want to go Plains and then draw 2 cards. See what we can find. Healer's Hawk and an Orator. Okay, so we can gain a fair bit of life. Hopefully it makes the Arclight Phoenix not too terrible. As well as the many... Oh, we could also go with the Ajani Strength of the Pride as well. That's an option for us. We've got to be careful not to run Ajani into a position where he dies to Arclight Phoenix coming out of the bin. So maybe I actually want to go with the Orator Healer's Hawk plan here first. This is sorcery speed, so there's no reason to leave it open. Let's go get the double black for our Aerialists and our Murderous Riders. Play the Orator. And yeah, our opponent's deck is full of unsummons, which is what I expect our opponent's got in hand right now. They can bounce my Orator to stop me gaining 1 point of life. It is a thing. You did it. Congrats, opponent. You got me. Alright. Radical idea. And take 1 down. So now we're in a situation where we do have 2 blockers for Arclight Phoenix, but we have to play around unsummons and things like that. Which that's unsummon number 2. It's nice of them to put a card style on their unsummon. Ah, Arclight Phoenix number 2. That's a problem. Alright. Well, we're going to go for a Devout Decree and an Impassioned Orator then. Take the damage for now, since we can play around it to a certain extent. So we can kill this. We're going to take 3, but we're gaining 2 back, and then we'll work our way to it as we go. We can gain 2 life a turn by making tokens every turn. It's an option. I don't know if it's a good option, though. I'm just going to bottom the land. Alright, get in for 2. Up to 17. So they're going to need to dig for some more Phoenixes. 3 max now for them. They haven't found any Creeping Chills or Black Mana, actually. But now we can definitely get some good value on an Ajani minus. The problem is that it's a token. So if they do have another unsummon, then we're just going to lose a creature from the minus here. Something to keep in mind. So ideally, we just want to find an Ajani's Pridemate off the top, or even a Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Both of which we can actually play Orator into for an extra trigger or 2. So I'd be really happy to see something like that. Also really happy if our opponent attacks him for 3, but it's honestly, as far as yeah, as far as damage is concerned, it's not worth it. Alright, well, Orator, game 1, and then we get 2 triggers for the Bloodthirsty Aerialist. Gaining some more. Good stuff. And I don't think we swing in. I think we just pass here. I'm going to try and gain too much life for our opponent to really stop us here. If we gain too much life and we get to go for the minus, or the 0, sorry, on Ajani, it's going to be a little while away. We need to gain like 15 life, but if we hold everything back, play creatures, play Ajanis, things like that, then we're going to be there in no time at all, hopefully. Opponent milling us. Okay. You do you. Let's see. So we can tick up on Ajani and gain life equal to the number of creatures and planeswalkers we control, so it's a lot of life to gain, as well as pumping our Aerialist. We got an extra dude in there. If they have Unsummon, it's not going to do too much because we got the Healer's Hawks. I'm not going to play an Ajani's Pridemate though. I don't know if it's really worth doing that. But I think maybe a tick up seems fine to me. If they get all of their Phoenixes out and we manage to activate Ajani, then they just lose on the spot because they all get exiled thanks to Ajani. So let's just gain loads of life. Ajani's Pridemate. Going for the mill kill apparently. They don't want to roll over their Creeping Chills anymore. They might be tired of seeing all of their really good stuff going into the trash. We've lost some good stuff as well, unfortunately. Revival would have won the game on the spot. All the Pridemates, of course. They've got the Unsummon, which is obviously going to the Bloodthirsty Aerialist here. And that does mean that Arclight Phoenix is on the way. I don't know why they're not trying to mill over more Arclight Phoenixes. Truly is a mystery to me, but here we are. I'm going to chump with 1 so that we don't lose our Ajani.
Enough.
And we go Aerialist. Gain 2. Pump the Aerialist by 2. And play Healer's Hawk. Pump the Aerialist again by 2. And take up Ajani. He only needs to be on 0, so there is no requirements as far as life totals are concerned. We're at 34 cards, so if that mill kill is definitely what they had in mind, it's not going to help them. Alright, so we need to gain 1 point of life, go up to 35. And then we get to get rid of the Arclight Phoenixes. We could wait a turn and go for Foreboding Fruit, I suppose. If we find, like, Oath of Kaya, we can get rid of a creature. We don't really want to, though, is the thing. I guess we can lose 1 Healer's Hawk here to gain the life we need. Get rid of the 2 Arclight Phoenixes and the Archamoeba. 3, 6, 7. I mean, there's no argument not to go for the Aerialist, right? They got block enough to kill it. So, chumps, chumps. I guess the argument was that they could kill their Arclight Phoenix, which means that this would not actually work. But yeah, getting rid of 2 Arclight Phoenixes seems pretty good to me. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe it's not. Probably is though, right? I mean, yeah, we're at 35. Let's get rid. Alright, and now we can go with the Foreboding Fruit. Draw loads of cards. And yeah, let's just get another Bloodthirsty Aerialist out. Gain 2 life. Get to a lethal range. Yeah, I actually averted a punt by having our opponent punt there, so pretty good for us. So that's 1 unsummon, 2 unsummon, 3 unsummons. So 1 left in the deck. Creeping Chills. We'll get there soon, I suppose. Oh, well, there's 1. I really don't think we can get 30'd though. 15 I could have seen, you know. If you'd have told me that I would die to this deck when I had 15 life last game, I would have said yeah, probably. But 30, that's just pushing it. And yeah, there's creeping chills just in their hand are a really, really bad place to find them, for sure. I guess they're digging for the unsummon to buy time. Their plan to mill us was a very strange one. I imagine the creeping chills that were in their hand would have been exiled, given the chance. But yeah, they're all for it. I guess it's an option. That was down to 23. Scoured Barrens, gain some life. Alrighty then. All attack. And chump from our opponents. Take him to 13, we get some more pumps. It's a shame these aerialists don't have lifelink. This deck actually might be tipped over the edge if that was the case. Hard casted Creeping Chill, and yep, it's gonna do it. Alright, they got a pretty good win out of us, but I think this was gonna be a nightmare situation for them no matter what happened, to be honest. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. This is a pretty reasonably budget deck as well, so if you do like it, you can play around with it. Yeah, it's not going to win you any tournaments, but it's a lot of fun. I think there's maybe about 8 outside of the mana base, 8 rares, something like that, and about 4 mythics. Actually, 7 mythics, something like that. But yeah, Revival's not really a necessary evil here, so you could probably cut that one out as well. So your only rares are actually like Murderous Riders, which are not included in a lot of decks. Oath of Kaya's, same again. And then your mana base, which is honestly something that you should be investing your cards into. The sideboard, I'm not even sure if that has... it's got Legion's End, again, an auto-include, and one Command the Dreadhorde, which is nice but not necessary. You could also do without that one, but yeah, it's a nice little reasonably budget best of 3 deck. Had a lot of fun with it. Hope you guys enjoyed it as well. If you did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to more content like this in the future. If you hit that little bell icon, you'll get notifications when I go live in the future. And if you really enjoyed it, then share it with a friend who also might enjoy it. Greatly appreciate anyone who decides to do that. But yeah, thanks very much for watching, guys. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.